Hi, I'm Liz Richardson, a senior research scholar with LAS, and in this video, I'll talk about the audio sense-making portion of our 2026 call for abstracts. Here, audio sense-making refers to the process of extracting information and understanding from audio source data that's done by language analysts. This task and the environment in which analysts work presents some challenges that we might not encounter in our day-to-day use of tools like automatic transcription and translation. One of these challenges is the sheer volume of data that analysts are faced with. They need to prioritize which portions of the audio data to listen to and analyze, and they might have very little insight into what type of information might be in that portion when they decide what to focus on. The audio is often of very poor quality. This might be due to things like background noise and suboptimal recording conditions. And low audio quality can affect the accuracy of tools like speech recognition. So analysts are not always able to rely on models and automation to do things like make a first pass at a transcript or search for keywords in a transcript. Language analysts are often missing some context associated with the data. This is often due to the speakers in the audio data having some shared understanding that is not known to, or obvious to a third party. For example, in the source audio, one speaker might say, "Meet you there in 20 minutes." The other speaker knows where there means based on some previous interaction, and the analyst would need to fill in that information gap to make sense of that audio. As I mentioned, analysts are not always able to rely on models and automated methods for assistance. While there are many tools available in the consumer space to assist with things like automatically transcribing videos, those tools often don't work well for the type of data that analysts work with because the models are typically trained with little or no data in that particular language or domain or audio environment. In some cases, tools are simply too difficult for analysts to work with, and this might be due to a poor user interface or no user interface, or maybe due to limited compute resources available to run certain models. So LAS is interested in exploring ways to advance audio sense making, and we're looking for collaborators to help improve the user experience and capabilities for analysts. Some potential areas for collaboration include focusing on rapid refinement of automatically generated content. We'd like to explore ways to incorporate work done by analysts into underlying models to make those models more effective for analysts as they are working. For instance, if an analyst is working with output from a speech to text model or system and corrects an error in that output, the system should learn from that correction and not make that same error again in that work session. This is additionally challenging in our audio sense-making environment because analysts typically hear audio in one language, then write an English gist or translation of that audio. So the data that analyst produces doesn't necessarily resemble the typical format used for training speech processing systems. So there's no speech data aligned with the corresponding phonetic or orthographic transcript that could be used to update something like a speech-to-text model. Projects in this area might include efforts focused on updating the underlying models that generate this content and interfaces that allow an analyst to interact with them. Improving analyst model agility. I've mentioned that there are various tools and models that might be available to analysts to support various aspects of the audio sense-making process. These models might have different levels of effectiveness depending on how well they align with the data an analyst is working with. It's unlikely that an analyst could just run their data through every possible model and see which output they like best, perhaps because of resource or time constraints. There would also be no reference data available to compute traditional performance metrics like word error rate for speech recognition or rouge for summarization. But it would still be helpful for the analyst to have insight into how well a model would work for their data. So that might include information like estimates of output quality or model confidence. So we're looking for collaborators to explore methods and interfaces to support analysts in selecting models that are most appropriate for the task and data they're working on when there are resource constraints and no ground truth or reference data available. Training the next generation of analysts. As the audio sense-making task changes and audio processing tools improve, Training for language analysts must also evolve. Typical tasks that have been part of the skill development process for junior analysts involve transcribing and translating audio. And these often include a review step that provides feedback from an experienced analyst. As technology improves, however, those tasks might not be so prevalent, yet analysts will still need to gain experience. Additionally, analysts will need to learn how to appropriately and effectively incorporate these tools and technologies into their workflow. So we are looking for collaborators on projects that would enable junior analysts to deepen their skills and expertise in new ways. These projects might focus on technology and methods for incorporating that technology into the training or development process. We expect that successful projects will require collaborators with capabilities and expertise in some combination of the following areas: natural language processing, automatic speech recognition, or speech to text. These are the building blocks of language and audio processing that will support sensemaking, and we would like to apply them with a human-centric focus to make these capabilities usable by and productive for analysts. Adaptive and continual learning capabilities and expertise will help in leveraging non-traditional training data to adapt and update models and to create systems that continually learn from user interaction and feedback. Capabilities and expertise in model selection will be useful in enabling language analysts to quickly identify which model would be most compatible with the data and task they're working on. And creating tools or technology to support analysts in the audio sense-making process will require a human-centric approach. So human-computer interaction and user experience capabilities and expertise will be essential to ensure that any models and tools are created in a user-focused manner that enhances analyst capabilities and experience. Finally, expertise and capabilities in educational technology and pedagogy will benefit projects focused on training the next generation of analysts. You can find our 2026 call for abstracts on our website at ncsu-las.org. You can register for office hours that we will host between July 7th and 18th, and abstract submissions will be due by July 30th. If you have questions, please visit our website or reach out to us via email at lasoutreach@ncsu.edu. We look forward to reading your abstracts. Thank you.